May God forgive you, because the working men and women of Iowa will not.
Tonight, devastation among public workers in Iowa as lawmakers approve a bill that reduces negotiating power. I'll show you what's next for that legislation.
Mother Nature prepares a perfect recipe for disaster. A closer look at some challenges for area firefighters.
And we need the rainfall, just like what they're getting out in California, to put out some of those wildfires. But the question is it in the extended outlook? We got the details for you coming up.
This is KHQA News at 10, working for you.
That's disgusting! What's disgusting?
Tonight, after a marathon of debates, both the Iowa House and Senate pass a bill that changes how employees can negotiate working conditions. It would eliminate most collective bargaining rights for public workers in the state.
KHQA's Iowa State House reporter Steffi Lee has reaction to today's controversial bill.
Today's decision brought a lot of division here at the State House, but today's vote didn't fall on party lines in the House, and the Iowa legislature's sole independent senator also didn't vote for it.
Union members stood up with fists up.
The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared to have passed the Senate.
As it all became final, this bill limiting collective bargaining rights for public workers now heads to the governor's desk.
A win for local control. A win for better government.
While Republican State Representative Andy McKean says he supports collective bargaining reform, he couldn't support this bill.
What I'm looking for is, I think our unions need to be more responsive to the folks they represent, and I think there needed to be a more even playing field between employers and employees. The bill included an exception for public safety employees. It did not include correctional officers, and in my opinion, if there was any group that should be included in that exception, it's our correctional officers.
Democrats in the final hours saying they fought hard against it and fought for public workers.
The majority in this chamber owns this horrible bill. May God forgive you, because the working men and women of Iowa will not. Thank you.
But Republicans standing firm, saying their bill will strengthen the overall public despite public outcry.
This bill, I believe heart and soul, is a win for all Iowans and the delivery of a promise from Republicans that we would reform government to make it more efficient.
The Republican changes to this bill would include restoring proper cause, as well as making some negotiation areas like seniority permissive. In Des Moines, Steffi Lee reporting.
AFSCME Iowa Council 61 will be filing either later today or tomorrow a lawsuit claiming that this law is unconstitutional.
Well, you just heard it. AFSCME Iowa President Danny Homan saying he will file a lawsuit against that collective bargaining bill. Despite today's votes, union leaders say they will press forward to protect members. The president of the state's Teachers Association says her union's membership grew overnight ahead of this decision. Critics say the quick action on this bill was the Republicans' goodbye present to Governor Terry Branstad.
Well, I'm giving Terry a different present tomorrow. I'm giving him a lawsuit.
Other opponents speaking out today includes the wife of a fallen West Des Moines police officer killed in the line of duty. The bill exempts police officers, but she says the changes are still unacceptable. New in the Show Me State tonight, a new hair braiding bill now advances its way through the House. That means it could soon become easier for people to start hair braiding business in the state. Currently, braiders must get a cosmetology license to operate. The new bill would allow braiders to register with the State Board of Cosmetology and Barber Examiners. They also would pay a small fee and take a self-test about sanitation. Supporters say the new bill encourages new businesses. Opponents say the bill is unfair to cosmetologists.
Also new in the Show Me State, lawmakers now passed two bills to help protect police officers. One would enhance the penalties for those who assault law enforcement officers. The second would create a so-called blue alert system. That system would notify the public through text messages when an officer is assaulted or killed. Now, opponents argue this alert system may encourage vigilante justice. That's because in Missouri, residents can now carry a concealed weapon without training. Both proposals now move to the Senate. Meanwhile, Missouri lawmakers are now questioning prison officials after reports of employee harassments. They are also investigating retaliation against people who tried to report it. Now, according to a Kansas City paper, the state paid more than $7.5 million in related settlements and judgments from 2012 until 2016. Now, according to the Inspector General, this current system allows some complaints of possible criminal acts to fall through the cracks. The newly appointed Department of Corrections director calls the issue a top priority.
Demolition started today to make room for the new Adams County Jail. All of these properties there on your screen are located at 6th Street and Vermont in Quincy. The new jail will be built near the current jail and courthouse. The Adams County Board will meet again in April to finalize design plans and start the bidding process.
Well, new on this Thursday, new charges have now been filed against this Hannibal man on your screen. Prosecuting attorney David Clayton says Jason Coulter now faces domestic assault, burglary, and resisting arrest charges. He faces 15 years or more in prison if convicted.
In other crime news, this Quincy man was arrested yesterday for retail theft. Quincy police say 30-year-old Landon Houston stole from Farm and Home Supply in Quincy. He was taken to the Adams County Jail.
In tonight's Connect to Congress, it features interviews with Congressman Darren LaHood and Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois. The two lawmakers chime in on this week's resignation of embattled National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. The resignation follows reports that he misled officials about his contacts with Russia. Republican Representative Darren LaHood had this to say.
When you have allegations of not being truthful, you need to get rid of those people in your administration.
Now, the senior senator from Illinois feels the president still has a lot of work to do when it comes to national security.
The president is off to a very rocky start in this area, and still so many unanswered questions about the involvement in the Russians who did this cyber attack on America's political campaign.
Now, President Donald Trump pushed back against media reports that his campaign advisors had inappropriate contact with Russia. He vows to crack down on leaking of classified information.
Now, your 7-storm team first forecast.
Another mild day across the tri-states filled with plenty of sunshine, warm temperatures, and unfortunately a gusty wind. Now, the wind is not going to be nearly as much a factor for tomorrow as it was earlier today, but still anywhere 10, 15 miles an hour, and that will cause any wildfire to get out of control. So burning not suggested in the out of doors. As we take a look at high temperatures today, we were well up into the 60s, 67 in Quincy, 73 at Kansas City, 71 at St. Louis, and just 56 at the Quad Cities, even 41 at Chicago. We've cooled down to 54 now at Quincy, 59 St. Louis, 59 at Kansas City. There's not much going on in the way of significant weather across the nation's midsection. Lobe of high pressure is now settled to the southeast. That's responsible for the wind shift back to the southwest, and that's going to stay that way at least for the time being. So mostly clear overnight, 43 for the low, southwest wind at about 10 miles an hour. And then as we roll through tomorrow, wrapping up the work week, we are looking at very warm temperatures. Highs that'll be topping out around 70 degrees. The wind out of the southwest at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. We've been talking about a chance of rain, and we'll do that in detail coming up here in just a few minutes. New tonight at 10, fire crews do respond to a field fire along the Fox River in northeast Clark County, Missouri. Now, this is what the scene looked like just hours after sunset. That fire extends about 2 miles along Honey Creek. According to the National Weather Service, these warm temperatures, along with dried grass and low relative humidity, will lead to more fire danger leading well into the upcoming weekend. Now, this, with Mother Nature, is all the very perfect recipe for danger in the Tri-States. Tri-Township Fire Department Lieutenant Chris Costigan says that field fires will get out of control when people make crucial mistakes. He recommends you never walk away and leave that fire unattended, and try not to burn when the wind is well over 10 miles per hour for your own safety.
If it's under 10 mile an hour winds, that's what we prefer when you burn. If you're getting 15, 20 mile an hour winds, there's a good chance it's going to get away from you.
Now, Costigan says try to wait until that wind dies down if you do plan a recreational or controlled burn this upcoming weekend. Now, as a reminder, some counties across the tri-states have already issued burn bans.
Rich, thank you so much. Well, some sad news tonight at 10. A Hannibal man died in a crash today about 3 miles north of Macon. The Missouri State Highway Patrol identifies the victim as 62-year-old Sterling Owens. The patrol says Owens was driving a pickup truck around 8:30 this morning on Highway 63 when he crossed the center line and hit an oncoming tractor trailer head on. The semi was driven by 49-year-old Dennis Armstrong of Rockford. He was not injured.
Expiration dates like this could soon be getting a makeover. I'm Taylor Anderson, and coming up on KHQA News, I'll explain the changes in your grocery store and how consumers could save billions of dollars a year on food. That story straight ahead.
KHQA News at 10, working for you.
New tonight at 10 o'clock, you can find a lot of labels on food these days.
That's right, and expiration dates on items such as your dairy or meats are soon going to get a major makeover. KHQA's Taylor Anderson explains how these changes could save shoppers billions of dollars. That's incredible, each year.
It's labels like best before, better if used by, sell by, or expires on that's causing consumer confusion.
I really look at probably not sell by, because then it confuses me that, okay, it's okay, they want it out of the store by then, but it's okay to eat after.
According to the Grocery Manufacturers Association, it's that confusion that results in shoppers throwing safe and usable food away.
I usually look at the best by, because then that's going to be, okay, it's going to have the best quality by that date. If it's after, then that's usually when I get rid of it.
Now at the Hy-Vee on Harrison, Jen Camp says they always check out each aisle to ensure products are not outdated.
We know that quality is always going to be there for our consumers.
On packages of meat labels, it can say use by or freeze by.
If you're not going to get to it by the use by date, put it in the freezer before that date, and then it extends its life so that you're not just throwing money down the drain by not getting to it in time.
By summer 2018, consumers should see only two phrases on their food: best if used by and use by.
The difference? Best if used by will reflect a quality date. The food might not taste as good, but it's still digestible.
I know milk, I'll usually go ahead and there's like the smell test and stuff like that, check and see if it smells good, and then I'll go ahead and maybe do a few more days after, especially if it hasn't even been opened.
Used by reflects a firm expiration date. All foods after this date should be thrown out.
Usually I try to make sure that they're good for the next couple months, because if not, it's not they'll go stale. The chips and stuff will go stale before anything.
In Quincy, Taylor Anderson, KHQA News.
Well, here's what's new in health news tonight. Women often skip their recommended mammograms after they get a false positive result. That's according to a new study from the American Association for Cancer Research. A false positive is a reading that looks like cancer at first, but then it turns out to be non-cancerous. The study shows that women often skip these screenings due to trauma from the initial results. Well, about 12% of mammograms produce a false positive. According to Dr. John Schlephorst, 3D imaging may help reduce the rate of this happening.
The whole idea behind screening is to catch them very small. It's hard to do that, or harder to do that without 3D imaging. 3D imaging takes one little slice at a time, one slice of imaging at a time, and so it can then expose or make that breast cancer more obvious.
Breast cancer is the leading killer of U.S. women, and every year it's diagnosed in 200,000 women and a few men and kills around 40,000 people.
Well, also new today in Adams County, the Adams County Ambulance Service now has its eyes on new land for a new home. The county plans to build a new ambulance station at 29th and Chestnut Streets in Quincy to house equipment and staff. Archer Daniels Midland donated the land. Ambulance Service Director John Simon says the decision on this location boils down to response times.
Starting to see more calls on the eastern edge, and so by us moving the ambulance station from the 16th Street corridor out to about the 30th Street corridor, that we can continue to be centrally located for all of our calls and to serve the public in the best manner possible.
Now, Simon says construction should be complete sometime this June. Rich, that ground looks pretty dry. It's pretty dry outside right now.
It's awfully dry. Some folks still doing some tile work on some of the farm fields, and it's dry from the surface all the way down. Hopefully, Mother Nature will change all that sometime soon. The question is when. We've got your forecast in detail coming up next.
7 Storm Team forecast.
And this evening, our sleep tight sky cam is aimed to the northwest, where we do have generally a clear sky. And along with that, fairly mild temperatures. We've cooled off at a few spots, but it's not going to be nearly as cool or cold as it has been the last couple of nights. Let's take a look and find out how we did for it today. 67 the high. Now, that was not a record breaker. 71 back in 1921. 26 the early morning low. Should be at about 23. So 39 and 23 the average temps for this day. 6:56 the sunrise for tomorrow. Quincy Regional Airport checks in with 54 degrees. The dew point is 32, so it's dry. Southwest wind at 13. Pressure on the recovery at 2971. Macomb, you've got a clear sky after a few clouds at sunset earlier. Temperature of 50, the humidity at 52%. West-southwest wind now 11 miles an hour. Temperatures again have cooled off in a few spots. 50 at Keokuk, dropped to 48 at Fort Madison, 57 at Hannibal, 56 at Novelty, 57 at Kirksville. We've got 54 at Jacksonville, and now 57 at Pittsfield. That wind still southwesterly at about 10, 13 miles an hour. This is about where we are going to stay for the overnight hours before it picks up again after sunrise for tomorrow. I want to start out and show you where the weather is happening. The West Coast, all the way from Seattle, Vancouver, all the way down to Los Angeles, with another storm that is coming on shore, creating snow in the upper elevations, rain in the lowlands, and this is running into the Great Basin. Again, this is way too much, and the folks there say enough is enough. The reservoirs are all filled up. The drought technically is broken, and they want to find out how much snow has fallen there. That's the moisture reserve for the rest of the year. Here in our tri-state area, it's just some low-hanging clouds. Snow across parts of Ohio and coming out of the Great Lakes, and then off across the Northeast, just some residual lake effect snows. St. Lawrence Seaway, some of that also coming off from Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, and also a couple of others. Spots getting some snow across the Poconos, but that's just about it. No real big weather makers there. Close to home, no real big weather makers in our forecast other than the mild temperatures, dry conditions, southwest breeze, and a slight chance of showers that will arrive sometime early next week. Now, if you really, really need the rainfall, and we all need it, I would put all my money in the pot for the extended forecast by the end of next week, and not necessarily for the upcoming chance in this 7-day outlook. 43 the low, southwest wind at about 5 to 10, and then for tomorrow, plenty of sunshine, warm, highs around 70. I may find Chris Dewar may be playing golf early in the day. I don't know. Southwest wind at 10 to 15 miles an hour. He's got plenty of work to do tomorrow. In the meantime, here's the extended forecast. Mid-60s Saturday, 70 on Sunday, 70 on President's Day Monday. Here's that slight chance of showers early Tuesday morning, but the rest of the day should be okay. Wednesday and Thursday, there we go. Highs in the 60s. Lows that'll be in the 40s to the mid-50s. By next Friday, it's a better chance of rain with a couple of the weather forecast data sets coming in line. And then after that, maybe somewhat cooler temps. But wow, we're looking at unseasonably warm weather till then.
Absolutely amazing. I don't remember seeing this ever.
It's been a long time.
Okay, thanks, Rich.
All right.
Thanks, Rich. Well, coming up in sports, Chris joins us in the studio, and for a couple games, it came down to the very last shot.
Oh, it was an amazing night tonight, David. We've got two teams headed off to Super Sectionals on Monday. Big wins for them, plus the end of the Quincy University game tonight. Controversial, you're not going to believe it. We've got the final shot, the Joseph Tagarelli miracle, coming your way next.
Tri-States, this is KHQA Sports.
And tonight, this is why they call it madness. This is a quality show. We're going to start you out with Sectional Showdown from tonight at Waverly. An Elite 8 berth on the line for either Illini West or Central Southeastern. Head-to-head, we're guaranteed a team. Ugly start for IW offensively, just 3 of 17 from the field. Meanwhile, Central Southeastern trying to make it work right here. Full court pass right there to Miss Elena Vance. Miss Elena Vance knocks that down. Good shot for her. The start continues. Brianna Hildebrand, nice little bucket for her. Knockdown shot, and then it's Lainey Lance looking backdoor and finding Brianna Hildebrand yet again as she puts that home. It's a 10-1 start after 1 quarter in favor of Central Southeastern. IW finally got it going in the second quarter off this Aaron Johnson miss. It's Brianna Grotz with the putback. Actually, at some point, IW would get that back down to a 9-point game, but here comes Elena Vance from the outside knocking down the long 3. We go to the second half, both teams struggling to score. Grant Super not watching his team go pretty much quiet for the first 4 minutes of the third quarter. Already down at that point, 9 points, trying to come back in this one. Lainey Lance wasn't having any of it. She's going to do her thing from distance right here, knocking down the shot that falls, and then later it's Megan Lee to secure the deal as Central Southeastern is going to book its ticket back to the Super Sectional. They get the win by 10 over IW, 44-34 in a defensive classic. And up next for Central Southeastern, the last step before state. They will have to beat a really good Modern Day team tonight, which took down Nashville. Final count in that one was 46-25, so it will be Central, Southeastern, and Breeze Modern Day coming up on Monday at Illinois College. Meanwhile, the Unity Lady Mustangs looking for their first ever sectional championship tonight against Princeville, and they were dominant from buzzer to buzzer in this one. And it started with this young lady, Jordan Hildebrand, in the low blocks early, scoring. Princeville had absolutely no answer for her. Big pickup tonight for the Mustangs as well from Addie Miller. Long three right there. She got it going, then more from Jordan. Miss Hildebrand, this is a strong take. Her team up 14 at this point, and they just kept coming in this one. Addie Miller going to do her thing off the tic-tac-toe pass. The lead out to 15 at that point. We're not done. Kaylee Nichols off the inbound pass going to knock down a shot. And how about a half-court buzzer beater just before the fourth quarter? All Unity Mustangs tonight as they get the win and that first ever sectional title, leaving no doubt about it, winning by 18, 42-24. Up next for Unity on Monday night at the University of Illinois Springfield will be a showdown with Christ Our Rock, who beat Hume Shiloh tonight. 55-48 was your final. How about some boys Iowa playoff action tonight? Holy Trinity on the road at New London, taking on Burlington Notre Dame, their arch nemesis in this one. Corey Hopper would miss his first shot of the night. There is Bailey Merschman for the putback. Corey Hopper would not miss much from there. He was a monster in this first half. The pull-up Jay, really good as he channels his inner Kobe. Then, how about this up and under move against 3 defenders? He had 20 points in the first half alone. Hopper gave his team a 4-point lead at the half, doing things like this all night long. Unfortunately, second half cooled off, scored only 8, and Burlington Notre Dame comes all the way back to win it and end Holy Trinity's fine season. 54-51 is your final in that ball game. Better news of an upset variety coming your way from these guys. Central Lee just 11-12 on the season, but a tip in at the buzzer by Rick Golly tonight gives Central Lee the upset win over Regina. Big time victory there as Evan Doyle scored 22. Did not get a chance to see who won between Highland and Mid Prairie, but it will be Central Lee playing the winner of that game coming up on Tuesday for a chance to win a district title. Also won regular season score to pass along the Bowling Green girls all over North Callaway, 50-46. Well, I talked about it coming in. Quincy University trailing tonight by as many as 20 in the first half against Rockers. Here comes the comeback. Marcus Hinton put back late in this ball game. Even later in this ball game, as Quincy University gets it back, great steal by Vaughn Washington. Herm Senor finds Evan McGaffey for the 3+. We got ourselves a Donnybrook. The Hawks were down by as many as 9 with 3 minutes left. Here's your ball game. Quincy University down 74-75 at this point. Check that out. Check it out. It's Joseph Tagarelli at the buzzer channeling his inner Christian Leitner. Did it count? The officials looked at this for 8 minutes trying to determine if Tagarelli got the ball off on time. And after a long, long meeting, we don't even see Quincy University rush the floor once. They'll get a chance to do it again because eventually it is ruled good bucket, much to the chagrin of the Rockhurst kids. Yes, Joseph Tagarelli, have yourself a bucket. A memory forever. 76-75, your final in favor of the Hawks. As I mentioned, they were down 20 in this game and looked to be dead. That's a heck of a sensational 7 play. Might be the best play of the year. Full court pass even? Are you kidding me? Big time win for the Hawks tonight by 1. Also, the QU women felled tonight by Rockhurst, 68-58. On the men's side tonight, Culver Stockton swept against Evangel. The men lose 68-62. The women end up losing 61-49. State wrestling today, let's add a little bit to the list. We had a lot of winners in the first round today. On the late side, over in Des Moines, Keokuk gets a big-time win from Ashton Myers, an 11-0 major decision over Gabe Lewis to jumpstart his state tournament title push. Also, big win as well for Brant O'Shea, who has just 1 loss in the season. Kind of a workman-like effort against Justin Light as he wins an 8-0 decision to stay alive. We mentioned these earlier, but I want to mention that Harlan Steffensmeyer and Ryan Steffensmeyer, both of Fort Madison, won their first-round matches in dominating fashion. They'll continue their push tomorrow to the semifinals coming up tomorrow. Also back in Illinois, Brett Hamill, a big-time win. 6-4 decision for him over Alex Peter of Dakota. Zach Haley stays red hot, gets the win by a tech fall over Omar Otero to open up his state tournament. Chad Grimm also victorious in Class 1A, the only local wrestler to fall into the backdraw of our 4 in Class 1A. Joel Cook of Pittsfield, who lost earlier in the day. Better news, though, for Tyree Williams from Quincy High School in Class 3A tonight. Big-time victory for him in overtime as he stays alive in the hunt for a state championship. I'm all out of breath and all out of time. What a night. More news and weather coming up after this.
Can't believe it's going to get up to 70.
Yeah, in the 60s to around 70 till further notice, and our best chance of rain looks like it may come at the end of next week.
All right, thank you, Rich.
Sounds good. That's going to do it for KHQA News at 10. Start your tomorrow with KHQA This Morning. We'll see you soon.